Range script loaded, you can now press escape, select, choose slot, and pick your aircraft. The A-29 Bravo has 5 weapon stations, 1 on the fuselage centerline and 4 underwing, and can carry a total of 3,300 pounds of stores. Each pylon features NATO standard lugs and a stores interface unit, which communicates with the stores management system of the aircraft. Currently, the DCS A-29 Bravo can load the following types of iron bombs. Mark 81 and 82 low-drag general-purpose bombs of 250 and 500 pounds. M117, general-purpose bomb of 750 pounds. CBU-97, cluster bomb of 1,000 pounds for anti-armor use. CBU-105, same as CBU-97 but with inertial guidance kit. In addition, the A-29 Bravo can employ laser-guided bombs, retarded bombs and cluster bombs, but we will learn their use on separate training missions. On this training mission, we will use the Mark 82 and the M117. For this training mission, we will use a weapons range that uses objects created by the 476th Virtual Fighter Group, and a weapons range script developed by the user Sirabob, which will allow you to gauge your accuracy and monitor your progress. On this mission, the predefined load is 4 Mark 82 bombs under the wings, and 1 M117 under the fuselage. We will drop them singly or in pairs, during several passes over the range target, in order to better practice the delivery profile. Perform the bombing passes on a west to east general direction, so that the mission logic can keep track of them. You can make as many passes as you want, while you still have any bombs left. You can access the attack statistics calling up the F10 option of the communications menu. Manually tune the COM2 radio to 121.0 MHz, which is the VHF frequency of air traffic control, at Anapa Air Base. First, on the UFCP press the COM2 Quick Select button. The UFCP will then display the COM2 radio setup page. The man field's current manual frequency should be already selected, enclosed by asterisks. Enter 1, 2, 1, and then press the Enter key. Press spacebar once the field contains 121.000 MHz. At this point, the radio is still on preset tuning mode, as denoted by the squares that enclose the label PRST. Press 0M cell while the cursor is still on the frequency field. To change the radio to manual tuning mode, do it now. The UFCP display will automatically return to its home page, where you can see that COM2 is indeed tuned to 121.000 MHz. We are now ready to contact ANAPA's ATC. Make sure to bind the COM switch onto your HOTAs, or onto keyboard key combinations. Then, whenever you want to use the COM2 radio, just press the binding corresponding to COM aft. To ask for taxi clearance, contact ATC by pressing the binding corresponding to COM aft, to use the COM2 radio. The DCS communications menu should have appeared. Now select F1, request taxi to runway. Please note that ATC might take a while to answer if there is other traffic on the taxiways. Just wait and eventually you will be given clearance. Press spacebar once you hear the controller's answer.
ANAPA, in field 1-1, request taxi to runway.
Take note of the runway assigned. For this mission the active runway should be runway 22. The diagram shows the taxi route you must follow. Before taxi. Auto rudder, right-click it, switch to its momentary ENGA position, to enable the automatic rudder trim system, which compensates the propeller torque during takeoff. Taxi light switch, set to on, the nose gear taxi lights will illuminate. Your aircraft is ready to start the flight, increase throttle and let the aircraft move forward. Once the aircraft is moving, press the wheel brakes, with your HOTAS or the W key, to confirm their operation. Release the wheel brakes and resume the taxi. Be careful of other traffic that may be near you. Good, now turn right and proceed along the taxiway E, towards the runway 22. This is taxiway E, proceed forward, towards the runway 22. Stop the aircraft just short of runway 22. We will now contact ATC for takeoff permission. Press the COM aft binder to use the COM2 radio to open the communications menu. Select F1, request takeoff. Once the tower grants permission, take note of the current QFE. To calibrate our barometric altimeter, it should be 29.77 inches of mercury. Then, enter the runway, align with its center line, and stop there.
Enfield 1-1, unable to clear for takeoff. Enfield 1-1, Anapa, you are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300.
Takeoff final checks. Verify that there are no warnings on the right MFD. Flaps. Extend the flaps down by clicking on the highlighted lever or pressing F, as we are carrying underwing stores on this mission. Takeoff trim. Set a pitch trim of 0.2 nose up to have a smoother takeoff. Calibrate barometric altimeter. ATC informed us earlier that the current QFE for atmospheric pressure is 29.77 inches of mercury. Convert to hectopascals by multiplying by 33.863, giving an equivalent QFE of 1008 hectopascals. Input that value using the highlighted knob. Taxi light switch, set to off. Landing light switch, set to on. This completes the takeoff checklist. We are now ready for takeoff. Follow the usual procedure. Hold wheel brakes, increase throttle to 90% RPM, check instruments and alerts. If everything is well, release the brakes and accelerate to maximum RPM. Use nose wheel steering to maintain directional control and keep the aircraft on the runway's centerline. At 105 knots, pull back on the control stick to raise the nose to a takeoff attitude and allow the aircraft to fly itself off the ground. Lift off. We are now on the air. Use trim to maintain a steady climb. Once on the air, retract the landing gear, with the G key or by clicking the gear handle. Retract the flaps before reaching 150 knots, using the highlighted lever, the HOTAS or the F key. You may now climb and accelerate to cruise speed. Your heading should be the one indicated by the highlighted caret. Climb speed 180 knots. Adjust pitch trim to keep the flight path marker over the 10 degrees horizontal pitch line until reaching a cruise altitude of 7,000 feet. Please honor the speeds we will instruct, in order to have enough time between waypoints to cover all of the lesson subjects. You are over waypoint 1. Now, turn right towards waypoint 2, maintain 200 knots and climb to arrive at the next waypoint at 7,000 feet altitude. The procedure for dropping bombs is as follows. Master arm safety switch knob, set to live. Late arm switch, lift its cover with a right click, and set to on, with a second right click. On the UFCP, press the AG quick button to activate the air to ground mode. Next, press the Baro radar alt quick button, to enable the use of the radar altimeter on the targeting computations, to improve accuracy. You can tell it is enabled, because the HUD will show CCIP R, and the CCIP drop line will appear on the HUD. The small circle at the end of the drop line marks the impact point of the bomb. A small X over this circle will show if the computer can't yet reach a valid firing solution. You will have to place the aircraft on a dive of at least 35 degrees, and when a valid altitude is reached, the X will disappear. Then you have to maneuver the aircraft such that the impact point circle is directly over the desired target, and at that moment press the weapon release button on the stick. We will use the Stores Management System page on the left MFD to configure our weapons. Click on the highlighted SMS button. As we have previously selected AG mode on the UFCP, the SMS automatically shows the air-to-ground page. The highlighted button allows you to toggle amongst the various weapons carried. On this case you can toggle between the 4 Mark 82 and the single M117. Try it. The selected weapons will be enclosed by a box. Select the Mark 82s and press spacebar to continue. This is the release mode. It can be set to single or pairs. For this mission we will use single in order to make as many passes over the target as possible. Pairs can only be used with the underwing stations. This is the ripple quantity. It is used when you want to drop several bombs in sequence. Ripple is quantified in pulses, so if you have selected that pairs are to be released, then 2 pulses would release 4 bombs in 2 groups of 2 bombs each. This is the ripple interval, expressed in meters between each ground impact. For example, if you set it to 50 meters and drop 5 bombs, they would form an impact line of 200 meters on the ground. Here you arm the bomb fuses. Each bomb can have a nose and/or a tail fuse. The options are nose, tail, N+T, and safe, for when you need to drop them outside the combat area. Finally, here you set the delivery mode to be used for releasing these bombs. Click on the button to see all the available modes. CCIP, Constantly Computed Impact Point, requires a greater than 40-degree dive delivery, and enable the radar altimeter for proper accuracy. Manual mode, using a predefined sight depression value, which depends on the dive angle, speed and release altitude. CCRP, Continually Computed Release Point, requires designating the target by placing a waypoint over it. Allows weapon delivery using level, dive or toss bombing. The pilot flies on a straight line and the weapon computer determines the bomb release point. DTOS, Dive Toss, it is used to throw away the bomb as far as it is possible, to evade or to prevent entering in the engagement zone of a threat. Not implemented yet. During this training mission, we will use CCIP, so be sure to have that selected and then click on AG to return to the main SMS page. We have reached waypoint 2. Turn right to enter the weapon's range on an easterly heading. The bombing target circle is identified by a long arrow that points at it on a 90-degree direction. Don't head directly to the target, or the nose of your aircraft will hide it. Instead fly to a heading just to the right or left of the target such that you can barely see it looking beside the nose. Keep an altitude of at least 6,000 feet. Once the target is near the point where the canopy frame joins with the fuselage, it is time to begin our dive towards the target. Roll the aircraft until almost inverted and pull on the stick to dive, reduce throttle, extend air brake, keep the target in sight and reverse the roll once it's in front of you. Keep the CCIP line aligned on the target, wait until the X disappears and then quickly place the dot over the target and then press the weapon release. Pull back on the stick to exit the dive and climb back up, retract the air brake and increase throttle. Good pass, turn back 180 degrees towards a westerly heading, and perform another pass. Start climbing back to at least 7,000 feet. Check the SMS to confirm that there is a bomb selected for the next pass. Once the target is near the point where the canopy frame joins with the fuselage, it is time to begin our dive towards the target. Roll the aircraft until almost inverted and pull on the stick to dive, reduce throttle, extend air brake, keep the target in sight and reverse the roll once it's in front of you. Keep the CCIP line aligned on the target, wait until the X disappears and then quickly place the dot over the target and then press the weapon release. Pull back on the stick to exit the dive and climb back up, retract the air brake and increase throttle. Good pass, turn back 180 degrees towards a westerly heading, and perform another pass. Start climbing back to at least 7,000 feet. Check the SMS to confirm that there is a bomb selected for the next pass. Once the target is near the point where the canopy frame joins with the fuselage, it is time to begin our dive towards the target. Roll the aircraft until almost inverted and pull on the stick to dive, reduce throttle, extend air brake, keep the target in sight and reverse the roll once it's in front of you. Keep the CCIP line aligned on the target, wait until the X disappears and then quickly place the dot over the target and then press the weapon release. Pull back on the stick to exit the dive and climb back up, retract the air brake and increase throttle. You have no more bombs left. You should now navigate towards waypoint 4, to return to Anapa Air Base. Fly at a speed of 200 knots, to have time to explain some more things. Deactivate the armament, with this procedure, master arm safety switch knob, set to safe. Late arm switch, set to off and close its cover. On the UFCP, press the nav quick button, to change mode back to navigation. You can check your range results by calling up the communications menu, select F10, Other, then select F1, Range, finally click F3, My Bombing Results. Please, press spacebar once you have reviewed your results. You have completed the main subject of this training mission. Select an option. Press backspace if you want to fly back and land at Anapa, or press spacebar to end the training now. Okay, you have chosen to proceed and practice a landing at Anapa Air Base. Continue straight ahead until you reach waypoint 4 of our flight plan. To ask for landing clearance, contact Anapa's ATC by pressing the binding corresponding to COM aft, to use the COM2 radio. On the communications menu select F5, ATC, F1, Anapa, F1, inbound.
Anapa, in
The
field.
tower will
1-1,
answer the heading and
inbound.
distance to its landing approach point, which we will ignore since our current waypoint is already at that point, but it will also inform you that Anapa's current QFE is 29.77 inches of mercury, and that we have been assigned runway 22. Press F12 to clear the communications menu. Press spacebar once you receive the ATC's answer. Once you get nearer Anapa, ATC will ask you to contact tower. At that point press COM aft and then select F1, Request Landing. You have reached waypoint 4. Reduce speed and altitude. Turn right 90 degrees, towards Anapa. Perform a visual landing.
Enfield 1-1, cleared for visual, contact tower. Anapa, in field, 1-1, request landing. Enfield 1-1, Anapa, cleared to land, runway 22.
Touchdown, set throttle to idle. Press backspace if you want to end the mission now, or spacebar if you want to practice the taxi to the parking ramp.
Enfield 1-1, taxi to parking area.
Well done, this is spot number 23. You have finished this training mission. Press spacebar to exit the mission.